For employers, narcissists as your employees, the biggest problem that you do not see. Welcome to today's topic, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Coach Tobias Forst, founder of Achilles Life Coaching, decade-long recipient of narcissistic abuse, and have saved myself from it. And I will support you on your journey to your personal freedom. Today we will discuss a very particular problem when it comes to narcissists at the workplace, or more concretely, when a narcissist works for you. So before we go into the detail of how this video will be structured today, let's clarify a few things. First off, when I speak about the narcissist, it's male or female, it's interchangeable. And moreover, when I talk about your company or your firm, your company, it can also be interchanged with your department. So whether you're self-employed, the owner of your own company, or you're the department head of within some company, you can have that interchanged at any time. We will discuss a total of 9 points today, ladies and gentlemen. The first one is we will dispense with a myth surrounding narcissists at the workplace. The second is today's baseline for the video. What's your concrete situation that we assume is the case? Number 3, narcissistic injury. Number 4, the false self. Number 5, intermediate conclusion and narcissistic motivations. Number 6, examples. Number 7, we will make a more detailed conclusion. Number 8, there will be a few caveats that you have, a few reservations that we will deal with. And number 9, what are your concrete chances and opportunities and possibilities that you have? So let's start and dispense with the myth. The myth is the following: narcissists at the workplace perform best among all people. That is simply not true. It's narcissistic and a grandiose babble that's going on. As with every person, every individual, every personality style, there are individual differences of the will to perform and the capabilities to perform. So don't let them talk you into believing that narcissists will push your company. Some of them do, others don't. The motivation is very different when it comes to that, but the basic core is the very same, and we will discuss in detail later in this video. Number 2, the basic assumption, the baseline for today's video. Let's say you are the head of a department or a company owner, and this department or company comprises 20 other people. One of them is an undercover narcissist. Nobody knows that he or she is a narcissist. Number 3, narcissistic injury. We need to clarify 2 aspects in order for you to make the following examples more manageable, more understandable. The first one being narcissistic injury. Please remove your logic goggles, because we're talking about what the narcissist feels and perceives, how certain behaviors yield certain feelings within him or herself, which rarely have anything to do at all with reality. So the way that, or what can constitute a narcissistic injury to a narcissist is the fact that they feel shamed, they feel maybe openly accused among significant peers in the company. It has to do with feeling hurt, with feeling threatened. And a threat to what exactly? A threat to 2 things I would like to point out. One would be the threat to one of the major mechanisms that a narcissist works with, which is control over you, over colleagues, over the workplace. And number 2 is the threat to the false self. We'll clarify the false self, or recap in point number 4. Both those threats of having received narcissistic injury constitute a very, very big problem that cannot be underestimated, because it leads to fear, it leads to shame, and it leads to rage, and possibly also the desire to take revenge on the person who inflicted said injury. So what is the false self? To recap briefly under point number 4, the false self is a constructed, fantastic facade created by the young child at age 2 or around age 2 or 3, that was meant as a companion which took over the wheels at some point, leaving the child behind, sacrificing the child to its own fake grandiosity and fake omniscience and fake perfection, until the narcissist no longer had, that child no longer had a false self. That person became the false self. And that has nothing to do with chest size or beard growth. You have children in adults' bodies. One of them in this example today working for you. And what he or she needs in order to exist, because it's all a facade painted with attributes, values, skills, behaviors, how he or she wants to be perceived. But if you look at it from the side, it's paper thin. So a threat to that is nothing short of a threat to its own existence. And in order to exist, he or she needs control over other people's perceptions of him or herself. Point number 4, an intermediate conclusion and narcissistic action motivations. Reality, ladies and gentlemen, is in constant conflict with the false self, with the shared fantasy, with that fantastical, constructed mirage that is the narcissist. And that is the case every day and every minute of every day. Wherever they work, regardless of country, town, culture, skin color, religion, you name it. It doesn't matter. This is always the same. And his or her role as your employee is in stark conflict with his or her grandiose omnipotence and omniscience. Because you're the boss. And she isn't. He or she should be, but they aren't. You are. And that's a problem. That in itself is a narcissistic injury. By virtue of you not having even opened your mouth nor acted in any way, your mere position in the hierarchy of your company or your department causes narcissistic injury. So it's the repeated feeling of a loss of control several times a day, requiring the re-establishing of control, the retaking of control, if not on the macrocosm of your company, at least in certain microcosms. More on that in point number 6, the examples. So what can you take away? What are concrete examples of this? We will start with a very simple, understandable one. And in order for you to best understand this example, I again ask you to remove your logical mindset and try to understand how pathetic this sometimes can be, and on the other hand, how it ranges from pathetic, real pathetic examples to utterly destructive examples. We will go through the entire range, and you pick wherever you've experienced in between concrete examples in your company life. Example A. She drinks coffee 3 times a day. She uses capsules of Starbucks house blend Lungo, costing an average of 40 cents per capsule. Each time she does so, she takes another one, a full one, unused one, and either throws it away or steals it. So that means she throws away or steals, let's stick with throw away, 3 per day, 15 per week, 60 per month. And if we assume 30 days of vacation, that would amount to around 630 capsules thrown away, in addition to what she consumed over the course of 10.5 months per year. The damages are at around $250 per year, yielding $1,000 in 4 years. Doesn't sound like much, but that's $250 more than every other of your other 19 employees. Okay, with that quantifiable example to begin with, let's escalate to something different. Example B. We will no longer designate the goods we're talking about. You can fill that in with whatever suits your business best. And let's assume there is one product among several that costs around $200. And on average, once a month, sometimes 3 times a month, without any disappearances over the course of another 2 or 3 months, on average, once a month, one of those goods at around $200 disappears, is stolen, never to be seen from again, for whatever official reason. Depending on the work times over the year, that yields damages to you, to your company, of between $2,100 to $2,400, ranging at around 10 grand over 4 years. That's around about 10 times the amount of damage that he or she caused with a coffee. It's about control. Always is. Example C. You have a sales employee that participates in a sales pitch, meaning that your company, represented by your sales representative, engages in a competition with other companies that offer the same as you and your company do in order to acquire the cooperation and the joint work with a very important possible new customer who has such a standing that he or she can, or that company can afford to have other companies like yours compete for their favor and their business relationship with you. Now that said, let's assume you have the best cards of all the competitors in that sales pitch, and you know that you have a top sales rep doing her best to acquire that new customer, to secure that business relationship. Now there is one undercover narcissist that owes a certain data collection and presentation to your sales rep in a timely manner in order to fulfill a deadline within that sales pitch set by that potential new customer. The narcissist doesn't deliver the data points and the presentation in that timely manner, leading to your sales rep missing her deadline with the potential new customer, and leading to your company being excluded from the rest of the sales pitch. You needed this customer. You had the best chances to acquire that company's business relationship. It's off the table now, and you expected a revenue of $400,000 within the first year, $1 million in the second year, $1.8 million in the third year, leading to revenue damages of $3.2 million over the course of the first 3 years. All because of an internal sabotage by somebody who you did not know was a narcissist. And it was about the control. He decided that she, your sales representative, does not get that new customer on board, does not get the glory of being celebrated by you and the rest of the company for that major victory. And why did he do that? Because she, the sales representative, had the gall several times to remind him of all people, in certain sales meetings, that he needs to work in a more effortful, reliable, and timely manner. How dare she? She needs to pay. His decision is about her work success. And let's make this example C even worse, ladies and gentlemen. Let's say you fire your sales rep thereafter because her major goal was, for her first year in your company, to acquire one big customer, and she just failed. That is at least what you are led to believe. And it was her fault. She's responsible for the goings-on. She's responsible for adhering and keeping those deadlines, but she didn't. So you kick her out. You just fired the wrong person. You removed a healthy resource, healthy tissue, while the cancer undetectedly still remains. Example number D. Company secrets, the passing on of company secrets. Let's say you're planning to launch a new product line. You can afford to take a bit of time with the final details of planning because you know that your competition is completely unaware of what exactly it is that you are planning. Now here comes Mr. Sabotage or Miss Sabotage in your company. And they pass on vital information about your planned future product that's being passed on to 2 other competitors. And within 2 years, those 2 take over the market and your company loses its competitiveness. You have to downsize and maybe even close down. The damage that he or she just caused, or caused 2 years ago, is simply immeasurable. This is what they do, because they should be the boss, but they are not. It's you who's the boss, but you shouldn't. How could a mere mortal decide about the fate of a constructed false god? And it's nothing short of that, ladies and gentlemen. They really see themselves that way. So point number 7, let's draw a conclusion. In all those examples, we spoke about one narcissist in your company. 1. How about when you have 2 or 5 or 12 or more? How much damage will they cause? How much damage have they caused? And no, we're not talking about the information that you can find on Google, how many diagnosed NPD people run around there with a narcissistic personality disorder diagnosis. The real number is much higher than that. And why is that the case? Besides the fact that this number might be true, it might not be. Who knows? Who cares? And why don't we care? Why shouldn't we care? Why do we know and need to open our eyes to the fact, not the possibility, but the fact that the number of narcissists out there is way higher than the diagnosed number? That is a very simple fact behind it. And the simple fact is, in order to get a diagnosis with NPD, a narcissist needs to bite down their biggest kryptonite, which is taking responsibility. Something needs to be that drastic that they see the only way out to actually face therapy and go through the entire process until they receive a diagnosis. So taking responsibility, going to therapy, not aborting therapy, because a therapist with 2 or 3 sessions only because he or she aborts now and stops therapy, cannot diagnose. So even being in therapy doesn't solve the problem, doesn't give it a name, is not included in the number that you can find on Google. That said, ladies and gentlemen, we have eyes, we have ears, and we have critical thinking. You do not require a diagnosis of people in order to adequately judge if somebody is good for you and your company or not. And those people that you deem not good for your company don't have to be your problem. Moreover, your company or your department doesn't mean anything to them. It doesn't mean, it's completely irrelevant whether your company is basking in the light of success or burning in the flames of misfortune. All that matters to him or her is, what does the company give him? Is it status? Yes, they will work hard to maintain that. Is it money? Yes, they will work hard to maintain that. Many more examples. You can figure those out by yourself. The most important part now is, in order for you to see who's actually a saboteur within your company or not, and they all sabotage, even the successful ones, the ones who perform, they all sabotage. And we will go through your caveats, your questions, your hold on a moment, Tobias, but I see a few things differently. Let's tackle 2 of those. Let's assume you have 2 caveats right now. One of your caveats being, I have 2 guys in my company and I assume that it's pretty clear that they're narcissists, but they're among the top performers. Number 1. Number 2 is, you ask yourself the question, but what have I done to him or her that they think that they need to sabotage me and my company? If, ladies and gentlemen, you have more ideas, more caveats you want to discuss, name them in the comments below and we will enter a civil discussion and a constructive talk about that. So with those two aspects that I just mentioned, that could illustrate the doubts that you're having about all this, I recommend that you tread very carefully within your own company and ask yourself, for starters, the following questions. The following list of questions is in no way all-encompassing, but it should give you a basic idea as to where to start looking. Okay. Number 1, are you 100% certain and do you have the facts to back up your claim that those 2 narcissists mentioned above are in fact among the top performers? Is that the case, or do they just give you the impression in a believable way that they are? How about the number of days they're calling in sick? How about the number of days other people in their work vicinity are calling in sick each year? How many other people in their work vicinity are being manipulated, invalidated, and kept small and silent while you are not looking? How many people in your company over the past few years have already resigned due to work climate in his or her work vicinity? How many times has he or she believably presented the achievements of others as his or her own? The laurel thief. And how many of his tasks or her tasks has she delegated without permission to do so, leading to her only working 20% of the time? The other 80% is just face time, appearing as if, while receiving a remuneration, a salary of the factor three times higher than the average employee in your company or department. Point number 9, last but not least, what are your possibilities, ladies and gentlemen? Start with asking yourself the questions. Start with these questions and find more and ask them as well that you heard under point number 8 just now. Moreover, I think you require a very clear control system with a detailed reporting system to see who has which tasks, who has what fulfillment quota of those tasks, how is the social and professional interaction among the people working for you. And you need to have talks with your employees or have your very reliable people, your work inner circle, that will do that for you in the way that you want it done. Reliable, authentic, healthy people doing that assessment with employee talks, one-on-one talks, where an employee starting from intern to department leader, where they don't have to fear negative repercussions for speaking the truth. In addition to that, I offer this service to companies to weed out the chaff from the wheat, to help that organism that is your company heal. If you want my help with that, you can find my contact details in the description below. They will, all of them, will cause damage. It's the scorpion on the back of the fox swimming across the strong current of that river until the scorpion stings the fox, and before that, under the pain, seconds before the fox drowns due to being immobilized, asks the scorpion, "Why did you do that? Now we will both drown. And the scorpion just answers, "Because it's in my nature." And you have no obligation to offer a scorpion shelter, nor do you have to take care of or acquire so many foxes to sacrifice. If you want a healthy organism, there are ways to do it. In addition, if you want my help, don't hesitate to ask. That said, be your own hero and be your own heroine. Thanks for watching, ladies and gentlemen. I'll see you next time.